Alright, and we're back here with solving quadratic equations. We did some graphing of quadratic equations. Now we're going to solve quadratic equations for x. So we have our first quadratic equation here of 3x squared equals 12. So notice we don't have a y anymore because we're saying that y is 12. So under the conditions that y is equal to 12, what does x have to be? And we're just going to use algebra to solve this. So if we have 3x squared equals 12, and we're going to solve for x, the first thing I'm going to do is divide both sides by 3 to get rid of this 3 here. And then I will have x squared equals 4. The x squared comes from 3 divided by 3. The 4 comes from 12 divided by 3, which is 4. Now if x squared equals 4, what does x have to be? Well, to solve this using algebra, I'm going to take the square root of both sides. I'm going to take the square root of x squared, and the square root of x squared is x. And then I'm going to take the square root of 4, and I apologize, I'm not sure why this square root symbol is not going over the 4, but it should be over the 4. So the solution for x is the square root of 4, and then we have this plus minus thing out front here, which is a weird symbol we have not seen before. And this plus and then over this line here means that the answer is positive or negative. And the reason for that is because the square root of 4 can be 2, because 2 times 2 is 4. And it could also be negative 2, because negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. So there are two answers to this equation. It could be positive 2, or it could be negative 2. If you plug either of those values in for x, you will get 12. So this little plus and then the line over it or under it means that the answer is positive or negative 2. Either one of those will work. So this is our solution to that first equation there. Second one, if we have negative 2x squared equals negative 50, again notice it looks pretty much exactly like this. Changing around the y value, changing around the value that's in front of x squared, or the coefficient of x squared. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2 because I want to solve for x. Then we get x squared equals 25, and notice it's a positive 25 because negative 50 divided by negative 2 is a positive 25. I want to square root both sides because I want to find out what x is, not x squared. So x will be the positive and negative square root of 25, and the square root of 25 is 5. So therefore x could be positive 5 or negative 5. If you plug in a positive 5 in for x here, this statement will be true. If you plug in negative 5 for x, this statement will be true also. A couple more examples. 1/2 x squared plus 1 equals 19. So notice again we're kind of adding a little bit to it here. We don't just have the x squared and the coefficient. Now we have this plus 1. So to undo this plus 1, we're going to subtract 1 on both sides, or add negative 1. As a result of that, we get 1/2 x squared equals 18. Got to get rid of this 1/2, so we'll divide by a half, but dividing by a half is the same as multiplying by 2. So we multiply both sides by 2. Therefore, we get x squared equals 36. To solve for x, we're going to take the square root of both sides. So x will be the positive and negative square root of 36. And therefore, x equals the positive and negative 6. And you can't really see this. I'm sorry for that, but this says x equals positive and negative 6. That comes from this square root right here. The square root of 36 is negative 6 or positive 6. And our last example, 10x squared equals 400. I'm going to divide both sides by 10, again to solve for x. Therefore we get x squared equals 40. Square root of 40 is going to be the value of x. 40 is not a perfect square, so we can leave that as the square root of 40. Or we can break that down into 4 times 10, and then breaking it down into 4 times 10 because 4 is a perfect square. We can take the square root of that. So our answer will be, and again you can't see this here, square root of 40 is acceptable, but down below here that you cannot see, it says x equals positive or negative 2, coming from the square root of 4, because that's a perfect square, times the square root of 10. So that you can't see, but you can leave it as the square root of 40 will also be an acceptable answer for this equation also.